4 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers just flew over 6,000 miles from Missouri to Iran. They dropped dozens of 2,000-pound bunker busters onto missile sites that Iran buried deep inside mountains. Facilities designed to survive exactly this kind of attack. Every one of them collapsed. But the missiles were only the first target. While those bombers were still airborne, U.S. Navy submarines launched Tomahawks at Iran's largest oil export terminal, the one that funds 40% of the entire government budget. That terminal is gone. Then strikes hit the military fuel reserves at Bandar Abbas. Iran did not just take a hit, it lost its ability to fight, its ability to pay for a fight, and its ability to fuel one, all in under 37 hours. Stay with me on this one, because when we get to Iran's actual retaliation, you will see just how little they have left. This is the full breakdown of one of the most significant stealth bombing operations in history, what it actually destroyed, and why Iran cannot recover from it. Before we get into it, please make sure you subscribe so you do not miss what comes next. I will keep you updated. Here is what really happened with the B-2 mission. By the time the bomber crews rolled off the runway at Whiteman Air Force Base in central Missouri, Operation Epic Fury was already underway. The opening waves had hit air defenses, leadership compounds, and command centers. Now it was time to go after the hardened underground targets that only the B-2 could reach. 4 Spirits, each carrying a full internal payload of GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munitions, climbed into the dark. These are 2,000-pound satellite-guided bombs, specifically engineered to punch through hardened concrete and detonate beneath the surface. Each Spirit can carry up to 16 of these weapons internally, which means this formation alone could deliver over 60 penetrator bombs without a single external pylon breaking the stealth profile. The bombers flew east. They refueled in midair multiple times from KC-46 Pegasus tankers staged along the route. The KC-46 is Boeing's newest tanker platform, designed to replace the aging KC-135 fleet, and it carries over 212,000 pounds of transferable fuel. The entire aerial refueling chain was coordinated using deceptive radio communications designed to mask the true destination of the formation. Think about what that level of operational security requires. Every tanker crew, every relay station, every communications node had to execute a choreographed deception in real time, while transferring tens of thousands of pounds of jet fuel at altitude. The round trip exceeded 37 hours. 37 hours in the cockpit of a flying wing. The B-2 was built for exactly this. Northrop Grumman designed it during the Cold War to penetrate Soviet integrated air defenses and deliver nuclear weapons to targets deep inside enemy territory. Only 21 were ever produced, at a cost of roughly $2 billion per aircraft, making it the most expensive military plane ever built. Its entire survival depends on one thing. Its radar cross-section is smaller than a marble on most tracking systems. Iran operates Russian-built S-300PMU-2 surface-to-air missile batteries, Bavar 373 indigenous long-range systems, and a layered network of early warning radars stretching from the Persian Gulf coast to the Zagros mountain range. None of them picked up a single return. The bombers crossed into Iranian airspace, released their ordnance, and exited without a single defensive response. Most people think stealth means the aircraft is invisible. In reality, stealth means the radar signature is so small that it gets lost in the background noise of the atmosphere itself. The defense operators were literally staring at their screens while 4 fully loaded bombers passed overhead. Now here is what was waiting underground. Iran spent years and billions of dollars building a network of deep tunnel complexes to shield its ballistic missile production lines and storage bunkers from exactly this kind of attack. These facilities were carved into mountainsides, reinforced with layered concrete, and positioned at depths specifically calculated to survive conventional airstrikes. The GBU-31 was the right tool for this job. Each bomb weighs just over 900 kilograms, carries a hardened steel penetrator casing, and uses GPS and inertial navigation to hit within meters of its target coordinates. The warhead uses a delayed fuse that allows the casing to burrow through concrete and earth before detonating, maximizing subsurface destruction. When dozens of these detonate in sequence against the same facility, the cumulative effect collapses internal structures floor by floor. Think about the scale. This was not a single precision strike on one building. This was a systematic dismantling of an entire underground missile infrastructure across multiple sites in a single night. And here is a critical detail most coverage is skipping. The Pentagon deliberately chose 2,000-pound munitions instead of the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator. That 30,000-pound bomb is the largest conventional weapon in the American arsenal, and it exists for one purpose: cracking open facilities buried so deep that nothing else can reach them. Specifically nuclear enrichment sites like Fordow, which sits under roughly 80 meters of granite near the city of Qom. The fact that the military went with JDAMs tells you exactly what the target set was. These were missile production and storage bunkers, not the deepest nuclear vaults. The nuclear sites had already been hit. Back in June of 2025, a separate wave of strikes targeted Fordow and Natanz using those massive penetrators. That campaign shattered Iran's centrifuge arrays and collapsed key enrichment halls. This new operation was not about the nuclear program. This was about eliminating Iran's ability to strike back. We will come back to what Iran actually tried to do in retaliation. But first, the parallel economic attack that nobody should be overlooking. While the B-2s were hitting missile bunkers, U.S. Navy submarines launched Tomahawk cruise missiles at Kharg Island. The Tomahawk Block 5 has a range exceeding 1,600 kilometers and can be reprogrammed in flight, which means the submarines that fired them could have been positioned anywhere in the Arabian Sea or the Gulf of Oman, far outside Iranian detection range. If you are not familiar with Kharg, it is a small island in the northern Persian Gulf, roughly 25 kilometers off the Iranian coastline, and it handles roughly 1.8 million barrels of crude oil exports per day. That single terminal accounts for the vast majority of Iran's oil revenue. To put that in perspective, Iran's total oil exports fund nearly 40% of the government's annual budget. The Tomahawks destroyed it. Reports confirm the terminal's loading infrastructure, pipeline connections, and storage tanks were catastrophically damaged. Think about what losing that revenue stream means for a government already under maximum pressure. Iran's ability to fund military operations, pay proxy forces, and sustain its war economy took a direct hit in a single salvo. Simultaneously, strikes landed on military fuel reserves at Bandar Abbas, Iran's primary naval base on the Strait of Hormuz, and home to multiple Islamic Republic of Iran Navy fast attack craft squadrons and midget submarine flotillas. Thermal imaging confirmed around 60% of stored fuel was destroyed. That is not a number you recover from in weeks. Naval vessels need fuel, aircraft need fuel, supply convoys need fuel. When you destroy 60% of a military's strategic fuel reserve, you are not just damaging infrastructure. You are freezing operational capacity across every branch for months. Iran's navy cannot surge into the strait. Its air force cannot sustain sortie rates. Its ground logistics slow to a crawl. That is the real effect of hitting fuel depots. It is a silent paralysis that compounds every single day. Share this with everyone you know, because one of the most significant stealth bombing operations in history, oil exports, and military fuel reserves in a single coordinated operation. Then came the confirmation of coordinated strikes from a second direction. While American bombers worked over missile sites and economic targets, Israel launched its own wave. Israeli F-35 Thar-I, Adir stealth fighters, dropped Spice 2000 glide bombs on facilities tied to nuclear warhead production. The Adir is Israel's customized variant of the F-35 Lightning II, modified with indigenous electronic warfare systems and data links that are not shared with any other operator of the platform. The target list included Iraq's heavy water reactor, Isfahan's uranium conversion facility, and Parchin, a site long suspected of hosting warhead design and testing work. The Spice 2000 is a 2,000-pound precision-guided glide bomb built by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, with a standoff range exceeding 60 kilometers, which lets the launching aircraft stay well outside the engagement envelope of most point defense systems. Israel hit the warhead assembly chain. The United States hit the delivery systems. Together, that is a complete decapitation of Iran's strategic deterrent. Not partial, not degraded, decapitated. Consider what Iran's leadership is actually facing right now. The nuclear enrichment infrastructure was wrecked months ago. Warhead production sites just got hammered by Israel. Underground missile bunkers have been sealed or collapsed. The primary oil export terminal is reportedly crippled. Fuel reserves at Bandar Abbas are severely degraded. The supreme leader is dead, killed by an Israeli strike on his own compound. And the American bombers that destroyed the missile infrastructure were never within range of anything Iran's military could shoot at. The Israeli jets that killed Khamenei operated over Tehran in broad daylight after air defenses had already been dismantled. Iran had no answer for either. There is no counterstrike to plan. There is no target to retaliate against. The bombers are 6,000 miles away. Iran cannot reach them. No country on earth can reach them there. Towards the end, I will show you what Iran managed to do in response, but first, the leadership losses. Reports from multiple outlets indicate the broader campaign produced significant casualties within Iran's senior command structure. The supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is confirmed dead. He was killed, not by the American bomber mission, but by an Israeli airstrike that destroyed his compound in Tehran. Israeli officials confirmed his body was found and identified. Iranian state media confirmed his death later that same night. Multiple high-ranking IRGC commanders were also killed across the combined strikes. More than 40 senior leaders of the regime were reported killed in the opening salvos alone. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is the backbone of Iran's military decision-making, its proxy networks across Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Yemen, and its strategic planning apparatus. Losing senior IRGC leadership does not just weaken morale, it breaks the chain of command at the exact moment when coordinated response matters most. Every hour without clear orders is an hour where field commanders improvise, proxies lose direction, and the entire military apparatus drifts toward paralysis. And remember, these proxy networks span 4 countries: Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. All of them depend on IRGC coordination and Iranian funding to operate as a unified threat. When the head is gone, the network fragments. Now, the retaliation, and this is where we need to be honest about what Iran actually did, because downplaying it would be dishonest. Iran's response was massive in scale. Tehran launched dozens of ballistic missiles and drones at U.S. military installations across the region, hitting bases in Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, the UAE, Jordan, and Iraq. The 5th Fleet facility in Bahrain was struck. Ali al-Salem Air Base in Kuwait took a direct hit on a makeshift operations center that killed 6 American service members and wounded others. Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar and Al Dhafra in the UAE were also targeted. Iran did not limit itself to military targets. Missiles hit civilian airports in Kuwait and the UAE. A missile struck a residential building near Jerusalem, killing civilians. The Crown Plaza Hotel in Manama, Bahrain was hit. At least 3 oil tankers were struck in the waters around the Strait of Hormuz, and a 4th, the US-flagged Stena Imperative, was hit while moored in the port of Bahrain. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps broadcast warnings that no ship would be permitted to pass through the strait, and tanker traffic collapsed by roughly 70% within hours, with over 150 vessels anchoring in open water to avoid the threat. By March 2nd, traffic through the strait had effectively gone to zero. Hezbollah activated from Lebanon, launching rockets into Israel. Houthi threats resumed in the Red Sea. This was not a token response. Iran hit hard, and Americans died. But here is the strategic distinction that matters. Iran's retaliation was broad and damaging, but it was reactive and dispersed. It struck at bases, tankers, and civilian infrastructure across the region. What it could not do was reverse what had already been done. The underground missile production sites are collapsed. The oil export terminal at Kharg Island is reportedly crippled. The fuel reserves at Bandar Abbas are severely degraded. The supreme leader is dead. Iran demonstrated that it can inflict pain across the region, and it did. But the infrastructure that gave Iran its strategic leverage, its missile production capability, its primary revenue source, and its senior command structure, those cannot be rebuilt with retaliatory salvos. That is the asymmetry. Not that Iran's response was weak. It was not. The asymmetry is that Iran struck at replaceable assets and temporary positions, while the United States and Israel struck at things Iran cannot replace for years. Iran's retaliation hit bases in 9 countries, killed American troops, struck civilian airports, and shut down the Strait of Hormuz. But its underground missile bunkers, fuel depots, and oil export terminal were reduced to rubble, and its supreme leader is dead. Both sides paid a price. Only one side lost the infrastructure that takes years to rebuild. This operation follows a pattern the world needs to absorb. The previous wave, dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer, demonstrated that the United States could project bomber power from the continental homeland directly into Iranian airspace using 7 B-2 bombers against nuclear sites. That earlier mission proved the concept against the deepest targets. This one applied it differently. 4 bombers armed with 2,000-pound penetrators, integrated into a broader air and naval campaign that simultaneously struck economic and military infrastructure across the country. Dozens of penetrator bombs, over 30 hours of continuous flight, a parallel submarine-launched cruise missile campaign that gutted economic infrastructure at the same time. The coordination between air-launched bunker busters and sea-launched cruise missiles means Iran faced simultaneous precision strikes from two entirely different domains, and its defenses failed against both. B-2 Spirits over Iranian missile bunkers, GBU-31 penetrators collapsing underground production lines, Tomahawks destroying Kharg Island's oil terminal, Bandar Abbas fuel reserve 60% gone, Israeli F-35 Ayadirs striking warhead facilities at Arak, Isfahan, and Parchin. Supreme Leader reported dead. Senior IRGC commanders killed. Fifth Fleet facility in Bahrain targeted in retaliation. 2 tankers struck in the Strait of Hormuz. Proxies activated in Yemen and Lebanon. Iranian retaliation struck U.S. bases across the region. Killed 6 American service members, hit civilian targets in multiple countries, and effectively shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Strategic Iranian infrastructure still in ruins. One thing is absolutely certain. The United States demonstrated that it can destroy a nation's missile infrastructure, cripple its economy, and eliminate its senior military leadership in a coordinated operation launched from home soil. But that demonstration came at a cost. 6 American service members are dead. U.S. bases across the Gulf took direct hits. The Strait of Hormuz is functionally shut down, disrupting 20% of global oil supply. Civilian targets in allied nations were struck by Iranian missiles. This was not a costless exercise of power. It was a strategic exchange, and both sides bled for it. The question now is which side absorbed damage it can recover from and which side lost things it cannot replace. Iran's missile production lines, oil export capacity, and supreme leader are gone. Every adversary watching this, from Beijing to Pyongyang, now has to recalculate not just what American strategic reach means, but what it costs and whether the exchange rate favors Washington. Whether Tehran attempts a broader escalation through its remaining proxy networks or accepts this devastation and seeks a path to de-escalation will determine whether the coming weeks bring a wider regional war or a fractured, bitter ceasefire. Thanks for watching. We will see what unfolds in the coming days, and I will keep you updated, so don't forget to subscribe and click the video on the screen for my previous video.